Hey everyone, it's RJ here, and you are watching and listening to Real Talk with RJ. And so I'm just going to be keeping it real. Oh, the joys of trying to do online dating. I can't even tell you. Unless you've done it and experienced it, I can't even describe to you how frustrating it is. But beyond the whole, because I think I've talked a little bit before about the online dating and just kind of how to handle certain things and the certain things that frustrate me and all of that. And all of that still applies. Okay. This is just kind of a little bit of a venting, and perhaps those of you females who are on the plus sized, and I don't say fat not because I don't like the term, but actually because it's grammatically incorrect. If you call someone fat, or if you say I am fat, fat is an actual, noun. It's a thing. Like, there's fat in my arm, or whatever. It's a person, place, or thing. It's a thing. It's a noun. It's a substance. Fat. Okay, so to call someone a noun, like you don't say, if you were a teacher, you don't say, I am, teacher. You say, I am a teacher. You want a modifier in there. So it's not grammatically correct to call yourself fat or to call somebody else fat, aside from the fact that it can be a little mean, depending on how you mean it. It's wrong grammatically. And so the proper term is to say that you're overweight, obese, chubby, plus-sized. Those are adjectives, what you would use to describe yourself, because you are a person, so that's a noun. Okay, so anyway, because I do like to watch this show called My Big Fat Fabulous Life with Whitney Thor, and I can relate to a lot of what she goes through, and I think her show is pretty funny and is pretty interesting and revealing. And but I don't like that she calls herself fat because of the grammar. Call yourself overweight. It doesn't roll off the tongue as good as My Big Fat Fabulous Life, But grammatically, overweight, obese, plus-sized, chubby, those are grammatically acceptable. Okay? But anyway, I was watching her show last night, and this is how it relates. It all comes back to the whole online dating thing, I promise. I was watching her show last night, and on that episode, she had injured her back and was going through some different things, had some car problems, and, just facing some different, various difficulties. And you know how, when you're watching the episode, it kind of shows you a little snidbit of the next week's episode to get, whet your appetite and keep you watching. And it was actually on the snidbit of next episode that I actually really interested me because of my current situation. And that's where now I haven't seen the next week's episode, so I don't know 100%, so I'm not speaking as someone who knows because I haven't watched it. I don't know. But from the clip of next week's episode, it looks like her and her boyfriend his name is Lenny, are really having a lot of issues. And something about, it doesn't go into a whole lot of detail, but something to do with he goes MIA, or and he wouldn't return her calls and her texts, and she kind of says on her voiceover in the show that she doesn't know if she's going to have a boyfriend anymore, and that she had called him and called him like 10 times in text, and he didn't really seem that he was too concerned with that. And again, that could be just how the producers kind of made that clip so that you think, oh, he's a horrible guy, and he's probably not. I mean, I don't know the guy. But the way it looked, it kind of seemed interesting. And it reminded me how a lot of us overweight ladies tend to settle in our romantic relationships because we think we can't get anyone because of our weight. We think that prohibits us from finding someone awesome who loves us. And that's been something I've had a problem with, and it just kind of reminded me of it when I watched that show, because it seemed to me like she was putting up with a lot of things just to have someone to call a boyfriend, just so that she could have somebody in her life. And I have been there, done that, wrote the book, got the t-shirt. It never works, because you are either going to really, really be truly, truly just frustrated and unhappy, or the other person who's not the right person and doesn't really truly love you anyway, they're eventually going to take off because they're not happy. And it's difficult when you think you don't deserve the best just because you don't look like a supermodel. Okay? And that's one thing that I have struggled with and I had to come to terms with. And no, I'm not talking like, look, I'm not fixated on the person's exterior, because there's been guys that I dated or got to know or whatever, and at first I was like, ooh, physically, like, I'm not attracted to that guy. But then as I got to know the person and found out, wow, like, this is a really awesome guy. He's got so much going for himself. And he's, a godly Christian man. He's a great guy. And he has so much going for him that, to me, that became attractive. So that happens. Like, I don't know if it happens for guys. I think guys are very visual in that kind of a way. But for me, like, there's been guys that I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be attracted to that guy. And I ended up attracted to him just because of who he was as a person. So I'm not fixated on the outward. And relating this back to my online dating, like, I could care less, okay, what ethnicity he is, what he looks like, none of that. Like, the only, and this is the absolute only physical thing that I look for, the only one, and that is that he be at least a couple inches taller than me or taller. I'm 5'9", I'm already a heavyset girl, I'm tall, plus I'm heavyset. It feels better and looks better to have a guy that's, at least just a couple inches above or taller. But I don't care if he's thin, muscular, chubby, overweight, flabby, like, that, to me that doesn't matter, because if he's the right kind of a guy, the attraction will build, and the love will build from a friendship. So, when I was watching that show, I kind of felt like, and I saw that clip for the next episode of My Big Fat Fabulous Life, I kind of felt like maybe, and again, I don't know her, I'm not saying this for sure, maybe she thinks she can't get any better, because Lenny, although it kind of shows, and this could be a completely different situation now, he may be completely different, this whole scenario may be completely different, so I'm only talking about what I saw, and obviously this isn't a live show, so who knows what's going on right now, in current day, but he kind of, although he works, and I know he does his art and things like that, but I mean, I'm not 100% on board with Whitney's dad, because Whitney's dad thinks that Lenny, should make the most money in the relationship. I don't necessarily agree with that. However, I do think that both people should be working, and that both people in the relationship should have aspirations and goals and a vision and things that they're moving toward. That is so attractive to us women. When we see a man that sets a goal, that sets a vision for his life and a goal and a dream and an aspiration for his life and starts making the necessary steps and starts moving forward, that is what makes him attractive, and that's what lets us know, hey, I can set goals with this guy. I can rely on this guy. Look, he follows through with what he says he wants to do, because even though you may not make the same amount of money, which is fine, there is the importance of having aspirations and things that you accomplish in your life, because Whitney's always like, she's got these, big girl dance class competitions that she does, and she's on the last, she's interning at this radio, for a radio station, and she's moving, she's setting these goals for herself. She started working with a personal trainer again, so she's getting her health back in control. She's setting these goals for herself, and Lenny's just kind of, from what I see, okay, I'm not trying to be judgmental, I'm just saying the way the show makes it look, he's just kind of blah. He doesn't have to make the most money in the relationship, but what kind of goals and aspirations, what kind of anything is he setting out for himself to achieve? That was red flag number one, and then number two, of course, this thing with him not responding. Let me tell you something. It's one thing when you first started dating. Okay, when you're just getting to know the person, you haven't really solidified that, okay, yes, we are boyfriend and girlfriend, we're in a serious, committed relationship, in that beginning stage where you're still, trying to feel each other out. Of course, I don't expect me to call you a whole bunch, I don't expect you to call, I don't expect us to have an understanding that you need to text me back within the next, day or whatever. It's a little more lax, because you're still in that get to know you phase. But once you're in a committed relationship and you are monogamous and you are exclusively dating each other and you're committed and you've established your relationship and everything, there's some expectations that if I call you, I expect to have some type of acknowledgement or return to my call, whether maybe you can't talk on the phone, you're busy, but you can shoot me a real quick 5-second text. Hey, I'm busy right now, I'll call you back in 20 minutes or whatever. I expect some sort of courtesy and acknowledgement, and I'm going to give the same to you. If you call me and I'm busy, I'll shoot you a text or put on that little that automatic text reply thing on your phone. I'm busy, I'll call you back. I expect some sort of acknowledgement out of courtesy and out of taking the other person's feelings into consideration, even when you're not necessarily feeling at your best. That's what loving someone is putting that other person ahead of your own self. And so I was in a relationship where I would text him or call him, and a couple days, sometimes a week would go by. No. Like, obviously that relationship didn't work out. Thank God. So that kind of was like red flag number 2 when I saw that clip, the fact that she had called him. Now, we don't know what happened because it didn't show like why he wasn't able to return her calls. So I could be completely, totally off base with this, because if Whitney happens to see this video or other people, I don't want you blowing up my comments section because I don't know. I'm just saying from what I saw. So this could very well be completely not even true anymore or whatever. But from how it made it look and from what I saw, the fact that he just seemed like, why are you calling me and why are you texting me, and like that it wasn't a big deal. That's a problem, because that shows a lack of compassion, a lack of courtesy, a lack of care and concern over the person that you say that you love. And then that really reminded me of how so many overweight women, and you know what? A lot of just women in general, but I can only speak from my standpoint because I'm not like other women in that I am a plus-size lady. So from an overweight woman's point of view, sometimes we settle for whichever guy says that he loves us and gives us some attention. Every now and then we settle for that guy instead of waiting for the right guy who will follow through, who has goals and dreams and aspirations, who is courteous and who shows care and concern and who wants to get to know us, and who, we aren't just a fetish, because there's so many guys out there that they have like the overweight woman fetish. It's like, I'm not a fetish, I'm a person, okay? I mean, it's cool if the guy's attracted to overweight women and that's his shtick or whatever, that's fine. But I'm not going to be part of some sick, twisted fantasy. Like, first of all, that's nasty. Second of all, I'm a Christian, I'm saved. Like, and I don't just say I'm a Christian in word. Like, I live the lifestyle because I have truly been saved. And I'm 34 years old. And I've protected myself. I'm still sexually pure to this day. I am a virgin, and I'm not ashamed to say that. And that is by choice, okay? Don't get it twisted. Not for lack of opportunity, but by choice. Because I choose to honor God with the way I live my life, okay? But what I've been finding on this, back to the online dating thing, I'm sorry, I'm like all over the place. Usually my videos are pretty, you can follow my thoughts, but this was like a jumble in my head, so it's coming out like a jumble. But, it's like, the online dating, I get messages from these guys. Hey beautiful, hey sexy, how are you? I'm like, I don't like being called sexy when I don't know you, and we're not married. Like, to me that's just weird. You can call me beautiful, or you say, hey, you're a very beautiful lady, I'd like to talk to you, whatever. So for me, because I'm a saved woman, I'm looking for a man who's saved and who lives his life in a certain way, and I'm not going to settle for anything less. So I look at his profile, I see, okay, he's marked that he's a Christian, alright. So he starts messaging me, and I just reply back, hey, thank you for messaging me. Your profile marked that you're a Christian. I'd just like to know, when did you get saved, and how would you describe your relationship to Christ? Because why should we waste each other's time if you're just a Christian in name only? You're not truly saved. Why should we waste each other's time? And then, like, when I ask that question, I don't get any replies. They just, moving on. It's like, don't put Christian on your profile if you're not willing to tell somebody when you got saved and what Christ means to you and how important he is in your life. Like, that's just weird. So I either get the creepy fetish guys messaging me, or I get the bad guys who think that, oh, hey, it's a chubby girl. She'll pay my bills and she'll take care of me and I can treat her however I want because she just wants to be loved because nobody loves her because she's overweight, so she'll settle for me. Those are the two that I've been getting messages from, those two types of guys. And it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. And it just makes it so difficult to find someone who likes me for me and who is truly saved and just wants to get to know me and doesn't have some kind of creepy fetish. And it's hard. And because it's that difficult, it makes us have a tendency to settle, even for relationships that we know are no good. I've been there and done that like almost 3 times. It's just no more, you know? And so, you know, if Whitney's still in that situation, if the same things are going on, I mean, I say to you, you know, Whitney, or to any woman out there, plus sized or not, when you're settling for a guy who mistreats you and shows no care, concern, or courtesy for you or your feelings, and you're just with him because you just want to be able to have someone, even though you see all the red flags, you deserve better. Wait for the right guy. And it's hard. I'm getting to the point where I don't even know, he may not be out there for me. I don't know. I hope he is. I still have hope, but it's dwindling. But I'm just not going to settle. I would rather be alone and be single the rest of my life and deal with that than to settle for someone who just doesn't have his life together, doesn't have any goals or dreams, doesn't treat me right. Like, it's just not worth it. It's not worth it. So I hope this has encouraged someone. Maybe you're in the same boat as I am, single, trying to do the online dating thing, perhaps overweight as well, and just you understand my struggle. And so I just wanted to encourage you that it'll work out somehow, and just don't settle for the guy that you know you're like, but you settle for him anyway just because you don't want to be alone. Let's just stop doing that. And I think not only will that help you find the right guy, but you know what? It might be a kick in the pants to the guy who's just kind of coasting by thinking he can get any woman he wants, you know, because he's good looking or whatever, but he's a jerk. Maybe that might be a wake-up call for those type of guys to grow up and get their lives together, and then they can finally be the kind of guy who's deserving of a good woman. So it's just something to think about. Anyway, pray for me, y'all. It is so tough. I got a subscription with eHarmony, and it's up in like another, I think, month and a half. I bought a 3-month one. It's so freaking expensive. It's bought a 3-month one, and I've had really no luck at all for the issues I've already listed. So pray for me, because once my subscription is up, and I'm also on another dating site as well, once those subscriptions are up, I'm calling it quits. Just because it's expensive and it's frustrating. And none of those sound really good. Okay, so I hope you're doing well, and I hope this was encouraging to you. And until next time, till our next episode of Real Talk with RJ, take care of yourself, honor God, love others, stay in the Word, and if you don't know Christ, today's the day. God bless you.